Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for Tech on Tap. My name is Hurik. I'm part of our Economic Development Division. And so each month we host these meetups to bring together the local tech community for stimulating conversations about a wide range of topics. And today's topic is sustainability and innovation, startups tackling global issues. And we'll be discussing opportunities and resources in sustainable technology. And with us today, we have Judy Hsieb from Larta Institute. She is the head of program operations, and I'll be turning it over to Judy.
I should first unmute myself. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for spending some of your time with us this afternoon, listening to our story. My name is Judy Hsieb, and I'm the head of program operations here at Larta Institute. And I have here two of my colleagues with me, Tobias and Kaitlyn, who are both program associates working directly with the companies that we're working with in innovation and helping them transition from the lab or research to commercialization. So let me start off with an overview on the organization itself. So Larta Institute, we have actually rebranded our organization very recently with this new logo, and we would love to be known as the sustainability company. Everything we do is about innovations that are addressing.
I don't think we see the slides.
Okay. Is this good now? I don't know why there is a delay. Can you see the slides?
I am not seeing a shared screen or of any kind yet.
Okay, let me see if I can. Thank you, Tobias.
No worries.
Okay.
Now I'm seeing the screen.
Perfect. Yeah, so everything we do here at Larta is about making sure that the technologies we work with aligns with the SDG goals. We want to be known as the sustainable planet, the sustainable company that works on all these technologies for our planet, the only home that we have for now. So we are a nonprofit by design, and we have been around for 36 years. Since 1993. So we have helped with over 6,000 startup companies translating their ideas into sustainable enterprises. And our alumni companies have collectively raised over $5 billion in funding. And this is the only numbers that we are able to track. Our slogan is, let's be, fuel, and heal the world. So we have some impact metrics this year we'd like to share with you. So this number was tracked last year for our impact report. Of course, the number has increased a little bit since that. So 6 startup companies that we have assisted, but over 8,000 science and technologies have commercialized through that. So a lot of the companies that come to us, sometimes they're not quite a corporation yet. They're just technologies are, with ideas that needs to be developed and commercialized. Collectively, we since 1993, we have helped companies raise over $3.3 billion, and those are all from our portfolio companies, and $2 billion in private investments. And then 85 acquisitions and 12 IPOs. We have 6 different focus areas. Bioscience and healthcare, it's a little bit larger than the other ones, is because that's also my focus area. But all in all, we're pretty evened out. I think energy is probably the biggest in our focus area in terms of the numbers of companies that we support at this time. But we do have all 6 areas that we help in. So a little bit about our ecosystem, right? Our innovation platform and programs are really supported by a very active and engaged network of partners and collaborators. We cannot do this alone, and an ecosystem cannot survive without all of these other players. So we definitely work very closely with founders and entrepreneurs. We work with research labs, universities. We have partners in the industry with the government, as well as investors, and foundation and philanthropy, of course, as well as the mentors and experts. These are people, I'm sorry, I have a call coming in. Cancel that. And then of course we have subject matter experts that provide the expertise to the companies themselves. The process starts very, very early on, and we work with all stage of companies, right? We want to help companies very early on because we understand the process and the roadmap that the companies have to go through, from anywhere from idea generation all the way to proof of concept, to prototype and development, validation, to an actual sustainable enterprise. And here's a little bit about our platform. So we work with companies by connecting them to relevant stakeholders. We also provide innovation showcases and introductions through new relationships and also networking opportunities. In terms of the resources that we provide, we have a lot of products and tools that we provide services towards, and then we also have mentoring and educational content. We put out webinars as well on various commercialization topics. And then also funding, right? Larta has a venture studio now. We'll be talking about that very quickly, shortly. And then we also help companies access the non-dilutive funding as well as licensing opportunities. And all of that is through our network platform. Some of the clients that we work with, so of course we have one with the state of California and also with the SBA, but with the federal agencies here we have the NIH, USDA. These are all federal agencies that actively give out non-dilutive funding like SBIRs and also research contracts. And then on the global corporations, we have Procter & Gamble, OCP. That one is in Morocco, and then Gilead, as you guys know, is up north, and then Johnson & Johnson. In terms of international government organizations, Larta has also done plenty of global bridge programs where we work with international companies are from different countries are looking to come to the US. And those are just some of the examples. Bogota and Serbia. More recently, we're working with Uruguay, and a while back, Bioeconomy Corporation, that's from Malaysia. Okay. And then here's the Venture Studio. So we are looking to co-create and co-develop with some of the companies that we believe in their mission, as well as the team and the technology that they're developing. So we want to partner with promising entrepreneurs to help them translate their science and technology innovations into these enterprises, focusing on environmental and societal impact. What we meant by co-create is that we want to help design, build, and scale these new ventures in partnership with these founders. So it's a collaborative effort, right? And then of course, Larta will be providing some early stage funding and in kind and other services as well along the activities that we work with, and then also introductions to the network that we have as well. And again, it's going to be in these 6 different areas, right? We only focus on impacts within these SDG goals. So environmental climate, focusing on protecting the biodiversity and decarbonizing the sustainable planet. The agriculture, of course, is the food, nutrition, water, and then clean tech and energy is the power, transportation solutions. Bioscience and healthcare is the medicine, human life sciences, and then marine and ocean in the, life on Earth, the water itself, and then the education and community. So there is also a lot of focus in the community engagement as well. And now here we're talking to you guys, the Glendale folks. Our program, so we offer a range of programs for startup companies, right? With the assistance in non-dilutive funding for SBIRs. We also are looking at innovation challenges where we can provide some funding and mentoring to companies. Global innovation programs, as I mentioned to you before, we had a program with the World Bank, and then more recently with Uruguay and Malaysia, Serbia as well. So locally here, Larta has a program specific for the LA region. It's called the HEAL.LA Bioscience Accelerator Program, where we take in up to 25 companies a year, working with companies on commercializing their technologies in the bioscience and healthcare area. This is completely free to participate for the companies. We do not take any stakeholder stakes or shares of the company. This is completely free and a network where the companies have access to and one-on-one mentoring. Okay. So I have my colleagues here, Tobias and Kaitlyn. They're going to be talking to you just 4 different case studies of the Larta portfolio companies that are currently creating technologies tackling global issues. So I'm going to have Tobias go first. Tobias, would you like to go first and then also introduce yourself?
Yes, I can go first. So hello, everyone. My name is Tobias. I'm a program operations associate here at Larta, and I will just be showcasing 2 of the 4 companies that we're exciting to showcase today. The first company that we would like to highlight that is tackling a sustainability issue is this company called CD3 General Benefit Corporation and its subsidiary NS2. CD3 is a general benefit corporation that was established in 2019 based on this mission on really developing technologies and innovations that can enhance, but at the same time provide insight into this critical biological activity with the ultimate goal to prevent the spread of invasive aquatic species. Last year, CD3 was actually granted a small business innovation and research grant of $500,000 from a federal agency called National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. They usually go by NOAA, so it's a bit shorter. And with this grant, CD3 actually enrolled in Larta's NOAA Commercialization Assistance Program. And this program is basically designed to help companies develop sort of a customized toolkit for their needs, their commercialization needs and objectives during this SBIR award. During the program, specifically CD3 has continued to develop this monitoring tracking device that's used to detect early aquacultural diseases. The tracker, which is the prototype you can see here on the right, is an upgraded model and technology from other current detection trackers that really try to steer away from common limitations like relying too heavily on human labor, lab testing, and limited sampling. Specifically, CD3's technology differs from current models in that they're really trying to take out the human labor when looking at these tracking systems. And their tracker specifically focuses on connecting an autonomous high-frequency sampling that can report this real-time data on environmental DNA. It can also be deployed in the field, and by doing so really eliminates this time lag between when you get the sample and when you get the answer in the lab, which ultimately also eliminates the need for this human labor that is currently on these tracking devices. Lastly, it requires no concentration, separation, or purification of any kind in the samples. So it really makes the usage of the technology a lot more accessible. If you could go to the next slide, Judy. So the technology that this tracker that CD3 has been working with Larta on is really closely aligned to the Sustainable Development Goals that were proposed by the UN, particularly those that relate to good health and well-being, as well as life below water. The focus, on detecting and mitigating the spread of aquatic invasive species, I think, have been outlined by the UN and several other organization, and this key factor that we need to deal with this rapid increase in aquaculture and the demand for it. During the last 3 years, CD3 has achieved significant milestones within their business and technology alike, and I would just like to highlight some of them. Some notable achievements include the Special Recognition Award from NISMA. If you're unfamiliar with NISMA, NISMA is the North American Invasive Species Management Association, which is basically a network of professionals that are working to prevent the detrimental impacts of invasive species, both on land and in water. They were also recently granted the Outstanding Private Sector Achievement Award from RISC, which is the Reduce Risks from Invasive Species Coalition, which is a nonprofit that specializes on educating the public on the risks posed by invasive species. And Larta's involvement with CDC now really focuses on this commercial side of their technology. We are providing support in capital investment insights to really work on reaching their investment goals for 2022. In addition to this, because they're joining this commercialization assistance program, they're also focusing on building out this comprehensive strategy for commercialization. Which includes identifying barriers to commercialization, identifying key competitors, and working with Larta on clearly differentiating the technology they're producing with other competitors. And all of this information will ultimately be used to leverage their pitch that they will provide to potential investors. And early next year in 2023, CD3 will also participate in Larta's Demo Day, which basically gives CD3 an opportunity to showcase their developed technology via pitch to the Larta ecosystem that Judy briefly spoke about earlier in the presentation. Do you want to go to the next slide, Judy?
Sure.
The second company that we would like to highlight that is also tackling this global sustainability issue is a company called Blue Marble Health. The company primarily focuses on developing SaaS products, so software as a service products in the bioscience and healthcare space. Blue Marble Health was actually established in 2009, so about 13 years ago, by a couple called Cheryl Flynn and Chris Ashford. Their goal was essentially, and still is, to help people improve their overall health by making healthcare more accessible and affordable, both for clinicians and patients. So over the last 13 years, Blue Marble Health has really focused on developing various digital softwares for telerehabilitation to really make sure that virtual healthcare remains accessible for people who are unable to physically access a healthcare space. And in 2013, Blue Marble Health launched their proprietary HIPAA-compliant digital software called Health in Motion. So this, you can see it on the right, but this software is intended for both patients and clinicians. For patients, the software was developed really to support people living with chronic conditions, such as lung diseases, arthritis, people who had knee replacement surgeries that needed prep and recovery, Parkinson's disease, and another wide range of cognitive conditions like trauma, brain injury. And the layout of the software is really for the patients to find out. The layout you can see on the bottom right, and it really showcases the various options that the patient can do on this digital software, all from activities, records, and personalized goals that can be worked with their clinician. For clinicians and administrator, the layout and the digital software is slightly different and is really intended for the clinicians to assign virtual rehabilitative programs with really specific assessments and exercises that can be customized for each of their patients. And the digital layout can be found on the right, the top right, and it really showcased the analyzed and synthesized data of the patient, as well as just, sorry, that was it. You can go to the next slide. So Blue Marble is now working on expanding this digital app that they launched in 2013 with the help of Larta. Chris Ashford, the Chief Operating Officer of Blue Marble Health, spoke out about a really key unmet need that Blue Marble is working on at the very moment, which relates to the chronic obstruction pulmonary disease, also known as COPD. So COPD refers just to a group of diseases that causes airflow blockage and breathing relating problems. And the pulmonary rehabilitation is really just a supervised medical program that can help people who have lung diseases like COPD. So Chris Ashford, the COO, noted that pulmonary rehabilitation only reaches about 3% of those who could benefit from it. And Health in Motion, this digital software they're working on and have launched, makes virtual pulmonary rehabilitation accessible to anyone who has an internet-enabled device and willingness to exercise. And I think this quote that you see on the slide really speaks directly to that sustainable development goal relating to the provision of good, accessible healthcare, specifically when we discuss access to good healthcare, regardless of your status and location. On the bottom left side, you'll also see some of the other treatment programs that are offered in the digital software, as well as the COPD program that I just mentioned. So far, Blue Marble have been granted over $13 million in government research and development grants, and have worked with Larta through some of their National Institute of Health grants that they were received a few years ago. During those grants, Larta basically provided feed-forward sessions with the company, as well as building out a go-to-market strategy for the company to use to introduce themselves to potential customers and investors. And this year, Blue Marble enrolled in our newly launched accelerator program, Heal.LA, that Judy briefly spoke about. Heal.LA is an initiative designed and managed by Larta Institute, which basically serves as the development platform for promising bioscience and healthcare startups, as well as aspiring entrepreneurs in underserved communities. And for Blue Marble particularly, their participation in Heal.LA will really be where Larta will be working with them on a pilot project for their COPD treatment program. So the study would be in the healthcare, would be working with a healthcare organization looking for a cost-effective virtual pulmonary rehabilitation solution that sort of can improve the patient's access to care while simultaneously decreasing the overall patient utilization, but at the same time improve the patient outcomes, clinical workflows, and improve the overall patient and employee satisfaction. And now I'm going to go hand it over to my colleague, Kaitlyn.
Great, thank you so much, Tobias. So hi, everyone. As my colleague Tobias mentioned, my name is Kaitlyn Nguyen, and I am also a program associate at Larta Institute. And I'm really happy to be here to speak with you all today and just get to brag about more of like the amazing startups that we get to work with. So our third Larta portfolio company that we want to highlight that is also tackling a global sustainability issue is one that is actually inspired by their own challenges accessing local sustainably grown foods. So Food for All was founded in 2015 with a commitment to connecting all who are thoughtful about food directly with producers. Their e-commerce platform enables small to mid-scale food producers and farmers markets to make transactions online and in person with consumers and wholesale buyers. They make it really easy to discover and engage with farmers and makers so that more people can have access to a variety of fresh food and get to experience the benefits of a healthy, sustainable lifestyle. So their pilot project, The Market Maker, is a directory of producers and wholesale buyers serving as a single system to manage product prices, inventory, transactions, and a plethora of other things. Currently, the Market Maker is being used in 23 states. It also provides tools such as sales, accounting, and fulfillment report tools to manage your business. And then it also allows buyers to use zip code matching to find producers in their local area. Next slide, please. Now, it totally sounds like I'm trying to sell this technology to you. I find this technology personally really cool. But what I really want to emphasize is the unmet need that this technology is addressing regarding food insecurity. As farms have consolidated and turned to technology to replace human labor, as we've all seen, rural job opportunities have significantly diminished, and access to local produce becomes much more limited. And also, as smaller farmers are being taken over by large corporations, local restaurants, hospitals, schools, and communities are challenged to find sources of local fresh foods. Many rural farming areas, ironically, then become food deserts with high levels of serious food insecurities, which then leads to a very significant risk on the long-term health of rural communities. The essence of this is that even a small incremental buying behavior shift towards local food purchases can translate into a substantial increase in the size of the market of local food technology platforms like this one. Food for All's e-commerce platform specifically could positively impact rural communities in two important ways. Firstly, supporting local food production and sales has the potential to increase economic activity within rural communities, boosting jobs, keeping businesses alive as the community recovers from the negative impacts of the pandemic. Secondly, this platform has the potential to increase the health of the rural community members I mentioned before by providing direct access to fresh local farm products, as well as consumer access through local restaurants, hospitals, and so on and so forth. So in 2020, Food for All won a US Department of Agriculture SBIR, or as we mentioned, is known as the Small Business Innovation Research Program. They won an award through the program for $106,500. And essentially with that award, they plan to determine the technical and commercial feasibility of this pilot project, the Market Maker. The following year, Food for All then won another SBIR award, this time in phase 2 for $650,000. The overall goal of this multi-phase SBIR project is to develop, validate, and commercialize a means to improve farmers' viability and then increase opportunities for employment in these rural communities. And so by leveraging local resources such as Larta's mentoring and commercialization services, Food for All was able to develop a robust commercialization plan. They were able to build out their website, branding, and collateral, and create a strategy for raising more capital. These strategies are essential to ensuring that their technology can be sustained, because while Food for All has a technology, receiving commercialization assistance is key for Food for All to learn how to disseminate their technology to the very audience that they hope to impact, especially to rural communities. So Larta was able to connect Food for All to essential stakeholders like a creative agency to design their website, which is a vital tool for potential users. And in the coming months of our engagement with Food for All, we will continue to help them develop their business and funding strategy. Next slide. So the last portfolio company that Larta wants to highlight is All Power Labs. All Power Labs was founded in 2008 with a desire to advance the science of gasification. Their motivating goal is to develop a personal scale waste to energy appliance. So essentially that's a machine which intakes the waste biomass all around us and converts it to multiple forms of power and products. So instead of essentially hauling a biomass to a central utility for conversion, the machine is brought right where the fuel already is and right where the user is. The technology that they're developing, as you can see on this slide, is known as the Power Pallet. It's a renewable distributed energy resource that converts biomass waste feedstocks, such as wood chips or nutshells, into combined heat and power, and most importantly, biochar. This biomass system will be configured to support energy microgrids as a replacement for backup power that is typically provided by diesel generator sets. In addition, the solution will be augmented with community scale carbon sequestration through the deployment of biochar, which is recognized as a really vital negative emission solution. Biochar is essentially a carbon-rich, charcoal-like co-product of the gasification process and is a highly beneficial soil amendment that increases plant yields, soil health, and remediates contaminated soil. A major highlight to this technology is that it has a significant advantages over solar power. One, it is notably cheaper to deploy. Two, it can operate around the clock, unlike solar power. And three, the byproduct of biochar, as I mentioned, can be used as fertilizer. Next slide. Now, why is the development of this type of energy source so vital to the future of renewable, sustainable energy? Well, the United States continues to experience the impacts of climate change with worsening droughts, extreme weather events, wildfires, excess tree mortality, and just so much more, along with the reductions of the reliability and safety of the utility grid, which is obviously evident in the rolling blackouts and wildfires we experienced, especially in California in the past recent years, which is caused by the aging and climate stress grid infrastructure. By disseminating and popularizing this gasification system to local communities and agricultural systems, it improves the life of the grid infrastructure and creates scalable carbon sequestration. So in 2021, All Power Labs won a Department of Energy SBIR Phase 1 award for $200,000 to develop a design package to deploy the pilot system as part of a zero carbon microgrid specifically in Yonkers, New York. And they plan to integrate it into the community with a group of partners that engages local green waste resources and community gardens and other local food-related organizations and businesses for biochar distribution and utilization. The team will also design education and outreach initiatives around the biomass gasification system and will engage with local schools, organizations to deploy this biochar. And local stakeholders, of course, will also be engaged to help develop and kind of assess this design package that they're planning in the community's context, specifically this community of New York, and as a replicable model that provides economic, environmental, and social benefits. So with all this, All Power Labs utilizes Larta's services and mentorships to gain a deeper understanding of multiple things, most importantly being the scope of their technology and how they can break into the market. And by understanding through the mentorship of their principal advisor, which is an industry expert in the space of renewable energy, they were able to develop a strong commercialization plan consisting of a market development strategy and an understanding of their differentiation between their other competitors. Thus far, they have successfully sold over 500 gasifiers in over 40 countries, largely in developing countries where cheap off-grid power is in really high demand. It's suitable for many locations with the availability of biodegradable plant materials. So for example, Liberia uses old rubber trees as material to power the power pellet. The Philippines uses coconut shells and Haiti uses corn cobs. They've also gained attention domestically too, having won a $2 million grant from the California Energy Commission to further develop these gasifiers. They now understand that their path to market strategy will focus on the deployment of their technology to enhance current or new microgrids in replacement of fossil fuels, and will focus on creating a standard offering for their products and resources across regions, and of course, building community partnerships along the way. And those are all the companies we have to present to you today.
Great. Thank you so much, Tobias and Kaitlyn. Those are four really, really great examples of the companies that we work with. We actually work with over 500 companies. I think last year we worked with over 570 companies across the 6 different focus areas. So this is just a very quick way to showcase some of the diversity of companies that we work with in our portfolio. So we have some time here. Any questions? And I also, again, thank you so much for all of you being here with us this afternoon. Any questions for me, Tobias, Kaitlyn, Larta's mission? Hi, Zachary.
Hi, how's it going? Great presentation. Really cool companies.
Thank you.
And I was looking at some of them as like potential partners because I was mentioning we're looking to get more waste from people. So a lot of these use waste. That being said, I didn't see that category in your when you were showing the different categories that you have in your portfolio. I didn't see waste management as a category.
So that would,
or would it?
Yeah. So that would fall under.
Sorry,
you're almost there.
I know the presentation. It got really sensitive.
And Christian, to answer your question, we are we're developing a technology, software and hardware, but where we don't have that part working yet, we are doing like a consulting to fill in the gaps until we develop the technology. Okay.
Yeah. So it sounds like pretty early, but still a good idea to speak to us at Larta and get in touch with one of our PAs. We would probably say, this falls under environment and climate, the biggest thing, right? Especially with decarbonization and whatnot, and sustainability. But also, since you're talking about food waste or any kind of waste, agriculture, and then also a little bit of health, a little bit of, if you're talking about ocean waste, do a lot of blue tech companies, so that would be under marine and oceans. So just getting to know our PAs and starting a relationship with us allows us to kind of say, hey, have you talked to any of our partners, and have you looked into any of the grant writing resources and partners that we work with who might be able to direct you to different upcoming opportunities as they come along?
That would be awesome. And 2 of us are still students at UCSB, 4th years, and I'm a recent graduate. So I'm not sure, is it possible to be, we're in a UCSB accelerator right now, or an incubator, I guess, pre-accelerator, but I'm wondering if, would that be compatible with being in school at the same time?
I don't know about in school. If you're full-time, you're full-time, right? Typically to be a business entrepreneur, you want to be pretty much dedicated to that a majority of your time, or find like a milestone that kind of allows you to transition into it full-time. But if you're thinking about it, and that's kind of the perspective plan is to go into this and you want to go into it, then that makes sense. But you can reach out to us and figure out what makes the most sense in terms of doing both, right? Moving into business, moving this into an actual strategy. Yeah, Kaitlyn's a gaucho as well. I was going to say, I'm like,
hey, Kaitlyn, that's awesome. Great. Yeah, we're here now, but thanks for I'll stick around, but thank you so much.
Let's see. I think we have some chatter going on in the
Yeah,
chat.
I have provided our contact information and emails there for anybody who wants to reach out to us on a one-on-one. We're happy to do that.
So John, you're actively engaged with the grant process on a few different agencies. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. I think it was the DOE just put out a $96 million grant amount for, I think it was like 16 different transportation related things. And we are applying for between 3 and 5 of them as what we're doing. So Charge Collective, we are building initially microgrid powered EV mobility hubs, and we're concentrating on disadvantaged communities, rural neighborhoods, and opportunity zones. And we partner with both real estate developers and with different energy companies in order to and public-private partnerships in order for us to install these mobility hubs. We've been working on it for about 18 months. I'm also the founder of an electric car company called Borrow. So we built the world's first electric car subscription company. And out of the thinking for that company, we thought how interesting it would be to spin up these mobility hubs, and the technology's there. So we're trying to do more grid resilience, more mobility hubs in locations where we can partner with companies like Borrow that I have, where we can put EVs in EV deserts. So
yeah,
with Larta, we were thinking about how do we work with the SBTIR?
SBIR.
Yeah, SBIR. So that is that's something we're actively engaged in. We're hopefully going to have the first post in the ground by the end of the year. Just try the proof of concept. There's a lot of community aspect of what we're doing. So I just wanted to know, how do we partner and work with Larta? I sent an email to someone and I haven't heard back, but I figured I should jump on this Zoom today, and thank you all for your time.
Yeah, so we work with the typically with the awardees, and at that point you have the ability to work with us through some of the funds that are available in your grant. Judy, did we cover TABA? I was listening in.
Yeah, we didn't really quite talk about TABA. So TABA stands for Technical and Business Assistance, John. And it's a supplemental funding that comes with your SBIR. For DOE, I believe it's written in, so you can choose any vendor you like to work with. Correct me if I'm wrong. Kaitlyn, are you closer to the Phase 1 DOE program? Are you familiar? Can you explain a little bit of that, please?
The DOE Phase 1 program?
Yeah.
Yeah, so with the DOE Phase 1 SBR program, when you apply, you win $6,500 that can go towards commercialization assistance, including the services that Larta provides. You just go through kind of a similar accelerator program. There's the I-Core program that the DOE has, which I believe is like a 6-month program. And then once you kind of enroll with us, you get services such as, market research, fundraising strategies to develop this commercialization plan, in which case you can then apply for a Phase 2 DOE award, which is when you're a little bit further along in your commercialization, which I'm not sure the exact amount, but I believe the top amount is an additional $50,000.
Up to 50, yeah. Yeah.
So that Phase 1 money is for prototyping, and Phase 2 monies is sometimes 10 times greater in award amount, and that's for validation, right? And so our sweet spot is helping those companies that are in that prototype stage, in that phase 1 stage, help them really map out their plan to convince basically the government that they are ready to go into that validation stage. And that's called a commercialization plan, which is essential to your to being
Phase
considered,
two proposal.
being considered a serious phase 2 candidate.
And if we're already in the commercialization phase and the go-to-market phase where we are right now, how do we work with Larta, where we're not really that early stage?
Yeah, so we can look it into pilot sites. It really depends on what you need for your phase 2.
I don't want to monopolize all the time, but my information's there, and I'll send everyone an email afterwards.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think what you guys are doing is great work, and I'd love to hear more.
Sure. Yeah, and just to address that last point for anyone listening, it doesn't matter where you are in the stage. We heard from a student, we heard from someone who's a little bit more experienced, getting towards that commercialization already, likely marketing a product, likely already working with partners. We support all range of people along their commercialization journey, along their growth as a company. Our experience with the thousands of companies we have allows us to really meet you where you are, and then just get you to recognize all the milestones you've already accomplished, and help you just get to that next one even quicker. So let's see. I think, do we have until 4?
Mhm.
Okay. I think I saw one other person talking in the chat.
I think we have Zachary's hand up.
Oh, my partner and I were just discussing.
Oh, I see.
Oh, this is a
Maybe.
cool company. That's what
Maybe.
he's-
Thank you.
Yeah, I see Elena. You are currently have clients, and you're working in both sectors, and so you want to talk about your work and also entering the classroom.
Hi, Christine. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. And yes, I tell just a little bit about my company. So right now we open in the United States. We work just 2 months, and we already had clients in other country. I'm a foreigner here. What we plan to do, we would like to find the new clients in the US market. Currently, we have just one. And I also wrote you that we are oriented to schoolrooms. That's true. So maybe we would like to collaborate with startups to do media content for them. And to sell them our service, and to make an agreement with Larta. It means maybe to get some referrals from you. Yes, to start from startups you provide, you collaborate with maybe, and you will have your interest, and we will produce media content for them. So it's my idea. And yes, if you have any questions here, ask me.
Sure. One question before I kind of respond, and I'd like Tobias for you to kind of respond to this when it's time. But so you were a foreign company. Now you are a American.
We are American company. American.
Okay, great. That means you qualify for SBIR. That was just going to be like the starter right there. Tobias, can you kind of talk about how we help companies, maybe through our Department of Education program, with letters of support and things like that when they are in the SBIR and kind of entering these kinds of programs?
Yeah,
And
we also have a grant writing partner.
yes, and
company.
our grant writing partner.
Right, and they have a great model where you don't have to pay anything up front, or for a very, very small amount to work with an advisor on developing your proposal for these SBIRs. And we have seen that they're very, very successful in what they do. They really have a great success rate in helping companies getting these grants. And so we're happy to introduce you to our grant writers as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, just maybe write the context. Yes, with whom I should meet further, or yeah, let's just discuss the next step in the chat maybe. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll for sure follow up and with everyone here. I think that's everyone in the chat. Does anyone else who's listening want to kind of chime in about their current work? We have probably time for one more interaction. Okay. Well then, Judy.
Yeah, so I guess that's it. We do have, from time to time, Larta do put out some networking opportunities in person, online, and we're happy to include you guys. If you're interested, feel free to send us an email. We'll add you to our outreach list. We will not bombard you with unnecessary messages. Trust us, we're very cognizant of that. But in any case, we really appreciate your time today, and thank you, Hsieb, for hosting as well and having us here on your platform. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you to our presenters, Judy, Tobias, Kaitlyn, Christian, and thank you for our attendees as well. So today's presentation was a great segue to tomorrow's observation of World Nature Conservation Day. So let's promote sustainability initiatives to support environmental preservation. So once again, thank you for joining us today, and have a great rest of your afternoon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.